Hey everybody, Alex here. Welcome back to Out of the Park 23 Pittsburgh Pirates franchise. Fast forwarding from our opening day win in the last video, the first video of my Pirate series here at OOTP 23 to just past the draft, I should say, not the trade deadline. That'll be the next thing I'll do. You guys will see in the next video. But here we are talking about the MLB draft and where the Pittsburgh Pirates currently stand. As you guys can see, things not going the best for Pittsburgh, and frankly, we were about 500 until fairly recently, about 500 going into the month of July. I'll pull up the info screen here. 12 and 10 in April, 13, 15 in May put us right at 500, and then late in June, things started to really go south. And frankly, I'm not surprised by that because we were really punching above our weight in the first place because our offense is the worst in baseball easily, as you guys can see here on the rankings in terms of the batting stats. 15th in batting average, historically bad, probably 214. Last in on base percentage, slugging, WAR, next to last in runs scored, last in hits, last in home runs. You get the idea. So our offense has been not just bad, but atrocious. And we had some decent pitching that was kind of getting us and keeping us, at that 500 level. But the pitching was really also punching above its weight, and it's kind of come back to earth. And that's why Pittsburgh sits here, 38 and 49, still somehow in third place in the Central. The Central's terrible. Milwaukee's running away. They've already basically locked up the division. No other team is above 7 games below 500. The Cubs just passed us for second place. So I'll show the standings here league-wide right now. And you see the Dodgers dominating as they always do. The Mets and Braves, a closely contested battle in the East. Wild card spots. We're still only 3.5 out, but I don't like our odds of staying there. Over in the AL, New York, Toronto, really competitive in the East. Every team at least 2 games above 500. The Guardians in the Central and the Angels over the Stros in the West. And so Pittsburgh tried to compete, thought maybe we'd have a chance to hang around 500, but things went really bad with a losing streak starting in late June. You guys can see here the last 2 weeks essentially won just 2 games, and then it carried over into July. We're 3 and 7 on the month. Quick look at the stats, and offensively, it's as ugly individually as it is collectively as a team. Only 2 Pirates with a WRC plus over 100, and one of those guys is Travis Swaggerty, who I just called back up to try to find some sort of offensive spark. There's just some really ugly numbers. I mean, we can't even get guys to be above the Mendoza line in terms of their batting average, but some really poor WRC plus. The wins above replacement 100 again is about the average, and so majority of the team is well under that. Again, batting average by far the worst in baseball, and you just see some of the numbers here are really bad. Perez 166, both Perez's, both catchers, hitting around the same mark. Chavis, we called up O'Neal Cruz. He got off to a hot start. He's really cooled off. We may have to start sending guys back to the minors, but again, just trying to get guys to be above 200 has been a struggle. There's a bunch of guys that have been, DFA'd and sent down that I'll try to show here in a moment. But here's O'Neal Cruz. That's Michael Chavis. Here is O'Neal Cruz, one of our top prospects, 58 overall. -5 WAR so far. Has got a little bit of power. Got off to a decent start, but has struggled since. So we may want to send him back down to AAA just to try to work on some things. See the pitching numbers here, and we'll talk about some of the new faces in a moment. Starting pitching has been pretty good overall, and the bullpen I've been happy with. Again, overall, there's some hits and some misses. Dave Bednar's been an excellent closer stopper for us. His ERA is currently below 1. I think Will Crow maybe had some rough routings lately, but overall, I think he's done a good job. As well, so has Heath Hembry. He's probably going to be a trade piece for us coming up here on the deadline. One guy I did add off of waivers, Kevin Quackenbush. He hasn't pitched in the majors in a while, but I like his overall numbers and profile, and he's done pretty well for us. As I click batting stats, pull up the major league numbers. He had one bad outing, he gave up a grand slam, and so really that 4.5 ERA, which is not terrible. It looks worse than it actually is. Is what I'm trying to say here. So claimed him off of waivers. We sent down Dwayne Underwood Jr., who was struggling pretty mightily, and so that's one bullpen change we've made. Just to look at some of the stats as a whole, some of the guys who are not currently with the big league club. Park has been sent down to AAA. He's doing all right down to Indianapolis, but hit 186. A little bit of pop, a little bit of extra base ability, but 186. I was just trying to make some changes there. Yoshi Sasugo has been was even worse, I think. Yeah, he hit 122 for us, 3 home runs, but that's all he was giving us was the occasional bit of pop. Josh Van Meter sent down as well. He was hitting 217, which for this team is actually not terrible. He may come back up at some point, but again, trying to put some different people into the lineup, try to get some better results, and really to no avail so far. Cole Tucker's been up and on and off the roster. He was not with us on opening day, but 113, 24 WRC plus. He went down pretty quickly. And then, yeah, I mean, it's just bad all around. Greg Allen got healthy. He's been on the big league club, 250. Again, that's good for where this team currently sits overall, but it's just been really ugly. Quick note on some of the injuries. Chris Stratton had an injury. He's on a rehab assignment. He strained his hamstring, missed about 5 weeks. He was doing poorly, then he got hurt as well. Daniel Vogelbach, he had a quad strain. He'll be back soon. He was hitting 210 for us, 4 home runs. So, I mean, he'll probably come back in the lineup, just kind of how low that standard is for us right now. Big injury here is Zach Thompson, who tore his labrum late in June. So he's going to be back maybe not until September or so of next year, unfortunately. He was struggling in the starting rotation, moved into the pen. He's starting to have some really rough outings, and then unfortunately got hurt against the Rays, and so that is going to be a loss. He was acquired in the Jacob Stallings deal, and so that unfortunately probably not going to work out in Pittsburgh's favor. I've made a couple of trades, nothing incredibly radical, but want to talk about some of the guys who have come in and some of the guys who have left the Pirates. Otto Lopez, one guy we've acquired, got off to a good start. That average unfortunately has come down, but he's a good utility guy, spending most of his time at second base. That's going to be probably his ideal home. Could play in left, but we have some other outfield options, at least in terms of the future guys. So I liked his overall profile and was a little better defensively than what Diego Castillo is for us. In terms of the trade, we sent away Anthony Alford, going back to the Blue Jays, who was with before, so it kind of makes sense as well in terms of them losing him at one point back in 2020, and then returns here via the trade. He had done pretty well for us and seems to be doing okay. He was get off to a hot start with the Blue Jays. He's clearly cooled down, but he's got 8 home runs, so I think they're probably pretty happy overall. But I just didn't like the overall of high avoid Ks, and had some other outfield options like O'Neal Cruz I was going to bring up, and so I figured a guy that had some value, try to get something for him. Astute Pirates fans will notice when I talked about the pitching staff a moment ago did not include Jose Quintana, and that's because he's now a New York Yankee, traded 1 week ago on July 5th. I try to make my trades realistic, so I don't use shop a player a whole lot occasionally, but I base it off of who needs what and who's in contention. Yankees leading the AL East right now. It was supposed to be so he could start for them because they had a hole in their rotation. He's in the bullpen. I can't control that, but he was excellent for us with a sub-3 ERA, 139 ERA plus. Really good numbers across the board, so I wanted to ship him out when he had good value before maybe he had a bad outing or something like that. And so looking at the deal we made, dealing away Quintana, gave up a couple extra players here. No one, in my opinion, that's too notable. A reliever who's got some control, but I want power pitchers overall. And then the starting pitcher they really wanted. And the game seems to be kind of high on, not from an OSA standpoint, but from a trade demand standpoint, but really going to be a 2-pitch guy, probably a reliever, and overall kind of basic stuff, movement control. So I figured I would take the risk there. And in return, we got Brenny Escanio, I think is how we'll say it, 19 years old, second baseman, good defense, really high eye discipline and avoid K. So I like his chances to be a healthy on base percentage type of batter. Not going to bring a lot of power. His average will probably be about 250 or so. But really good, overall profile for him, and he could be a potential future second baseman. In terms of the positives, not a whole lot to talk about. Brian Reynolds has been excellent for us. He should probably make it to this year's All-Star game. He's leading the NL in votes in terms of center fielders. So the only question is going to be about his future in terms of a contract. I have to start thinking about that. Ke'Bryan Hayes was really struggling to start. He's gotten better as of late, but still want to see him improve and kind of finish the season strong. But he's been good for us overall. And then again, in terms of the pitching, I think it's probably punched above its weight. JT Brubaker, ERA of under 2.5. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. Contreras was doing really well, and he started to regress as well. Let me pull up his numbers here in terms of his splits. In May he had a 1.45. ERA in June and July. It's really kind of fallen back to earth, but that's a guy that has a good profile overall, 22 years old, and I think, will be a decent back end of the rotation guy for us. Mitch Keller's been decent as well, had a bad outing, but before that was pitching pretty well. Next, I want to talk MLB draft, which just concluded yesterday here in the game, so I'll kind of run through some of the notable draft picks. And I wanted the center fielder Drew Jones, but he went second overall, was projected to be there for us, but ended up taking Kumar Rocker, pretty familiar name, was drafted by the Mets in real life last year, did not end up signing due to some medical concerns, but no such concerns here in this game. I've not officially signed him, to be clear. I've made an offer to him. He wants $9.5 million in terms of the signing bonus, so a bit above slot, but a guy that really could be pitching for us on opening day next year. I think that's a realistic thing. If that control gets even to 40 and certainly to 45 with a great fastball, slider, changeup, 3-pitch combination, the movement, the stuff, this guy's a 40 already here in the majors, and so I think by next year he should probably be in a place where he could be a starter for us at number 4, number 5, and so we'll see how it goes, but somebody that I think and hope can make an impact right away, as opposed to you draft a high schooler and wait 4 or 5 years for him to maybe be something. Rocker, to me, can be a guy that can contribute right away. Won't run through all the other picks, but with our competitive balance, first round selection, took a shortstop. Had to look at some under slot guys because we went over slot with Rocker. There's a first baseman I really wanted. Let me see if I can pull up his name here. And I passed on him, trying to wait a little bit on him. Ended up getting drafted by, who is he with now? The Rockies. So that's a guy that looked like a really good first baseman, possible DH candidate. So I'm kind of bummed that I made a mistake there potentially. But got Perez, a shortstop with good defense and a good eye. In terms of second round, and I'm going to get a different first baseman here in Nolan Schubart, who's got good power and good size. And in the third round, going with a high school bat here with right fielder Alex Wade. Again, decent profile overall. Fourth round, sticking with the outfielders with RJ Mayer, the bat. A little bit of pop, but obviously the attractive part with him, he was cheap, A, and then B, really incredibly rare to find positional and range ratings. I mean, that's a very high 90 range, and he's 20 years old, so maybe that adjusts a little bit as time goes on, but shouldn't, adjust too much. And OSA pretty much in line in terms of the defensive rating, so that might have been a round or two too high, but a guy that could really help out in the minors and be a good defensive guy for the young pitchers down there. Last pick here, 5th round, Roman Anthony. So didn't intend to take so many outfielders, but those were just kind of the best guys overall in terms of the 3rd, 4th, 5th round options, and so that's a guy that could be a future left fielder. One thing I want to do in Out of the Park 23 is be more aggressive with the international free agents, and I took a big swing here, spending all $5 million in our pool on Troy Lusace, we'll say. If he becomes good, I'll certainly work on the pronunciation, but OSA and my head scout both think this guy's going to be a star. OSA has him 80 overall. He's projecting to be a third baseman, and Ke'Bryan Hayes is there, but you can't pass up the talent. That's a good problem to have if this guy works out and Ke'Bryan Hayes is still on this team, 4 or 5 years from now. This guy could be a right fielder as well with a really strong arm, so kind of like what O'Neal Cruz is projected to be or should be in this game. Cruz does not get a lot of love, in my opinion, from Out of the Park here. But I mean, 80 potential contact, 90 gap power, No bad numbers in any category besides a low turn double play, but if he's in the outfield or at third base, not going to hurt him too much. With a high work ethic, I really like the odds of this guy working out. I know the international guys kind of dart throws. He's already, depending on who you look at, number 9, number 5 prospect in all of baseball. So that's a guy that won't be playing for a while, but a name to certainly watch. Last two things I want to do before we end this video. Trade deadline again coming up end of the month in terms of potential guys we would move. Ben Gamel probably won't have a lot of value given his poor season. The overall ratings look nice, but it's not translated into good play. Maybe I could flip him for a real low-level guy. He's a free agent after the year. And then again, bullpen options, Heath Hembry. That's going to be a guy we're likely to trade here. He's had a good season overall. Had an injury early on in the year, missed 2 weeks with a sprained elbow, but he's got good stuff, and I think that's going to present some value for us. So those are probably the two guys that I'll look to trade. Hembry's almost a lock to get dealt. Gamble, we'll see. He may go, he may stay. That's kind of where we sit right now. Last thing we'll do, I'm not going to play a full game because I want to keep those videos a bit shorter when the games become relevant, and hopefully when the Pirates become a playoff team, we'll certainly dive into the games, but this makes things quicker and allows us to kind of go through the series a bit at a faster pace, especially whenever it's not like we're playing for a whole lot right now. But I'm going to go through some of the highlights here. And if you guys know of any easier way to find highlights or go back to archives and find the highlights of a game other than me scrolling through here, I would appreciate it. But I want to go to two games today to kind of talk about some ones that I played. One I played out off camera, and another I just kind of simmed and then saw the result and wanted to go back and watch it. So we'll do that together today. We'll start here June 22nd at home against the Cubs, a 7-3 win in extra innings and 11 innings to be exact. So I'm going to fast forward here to the end of the game once everything loads in, and hopefully things are a bit louder. I bumped up the volume a little bit, but I'll continue to adjust as we go along. But I'm going to sim through here until the 11th inning because the way this one unfolds is pretty cool to watch. And so let me just kind of go through because nothing really happened here in the bottom of the 9th or in the 10th inning overall. Let's see, we'll go another half inning, and then I'll just wait till runners are in scoring position. So Cubs actually did take the lead. I lied. Cubs did take the lead here, and I guess the top of the 11th, of course. So full count, 1 out, bases loaded for catcher Michael Perez, and he ends up walking. That tied the game. So now the winning run is at third for Kevin Newman. And Newman grounded out to first, but they could not turn two. They went home, of course, because they needed to get the run there, and then could not throw Newman out at first. And then up came Ryan Reynolds on a full count, 2 outs, bottom of the 11th, tied game, bases loaded. This is what happened. Reynolds with the grand slam out to the notch to win it. A really cool finish there. And you get to see the celebration there. So that was the walk-off grand slam win that Brian Reynolds had. Let me show you the other game I wanted to go back and watch with you guys. The next one we'll watch is against Arizona at home at PNC Park on June 5th. This was O'Neal Cruz, not his major league debut because he came up in real life in 2021, but his first game of the 2022 season. So early June, Saturday night game, crowd was packed at home, bases loaded for his first at bat of the season, or his second at bat maybe of the season here. Let's see what happens. And Cruz rips one down the line to the wall, or almost to the wall, for a double there as 2 runs will score. And so a really great, productive first at bat for O'Neal Cruz. And so we go bottom 4 with Reynolds again facing the bases loaded. Pirates up 3-1, and Reynolds hits one to right. That drops in, and 2 runs will score again with O'Neal Cruz coming up at the plate. And I don't remember exactly what happens here, but I think I remember, so we're going to play this thing through and see what happens. It's been a little while. So 1-0 count to Cruz, and he hits one to right, and that one is going to get to the wall. And so O'Neal Cruz here is going to turn this into a triple, as Greg Brown would say, and bring home 2 more runs. And so that was the big day for O'Neal Cruz on that one. I'll exit the game right now. Pirates went on to win 7-1. That was on June 5th at a time to put us at 26 and 28. And so Cruz finished the day 2 of 3 with 3 RBIs, the double and the triple. A really good game for an offense that has not had many of those this season. Got a good pitching performance from the bullpen and also Mitch Keller in that one. So 2 games I wanted to show you guys just to kind of get a little game action. That's what I'll do. I'll intersperse some highlights in games, and probably won't play anything full. Maybe the final game of the year or something like that. But that's where the Pirates are at, 38-49. The season not looking great. Didn't really expect it was going to be a great year. Just looked like we had a little bit of hope early on in the season that quickly dissipated. So we'll leave it there. We'll come back probably end of the season, see what happened at deadline, what happened the rest of the way. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comments below. Appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to you soon.